My name is Sean Lyden. I am with Systematic Selling, and what we do is we provide sales systems, coaching, and training to growth-minded owners and their sales teams looking to scale their sales without the chaos. And it's that caveat, without the chaos. The way that we achieve that is we teach a no-pressure, no-drama approach to sales. And it can be best described as sales is not about convincing people to buy. It's about finding or creating alignment between the customer's problem and your solution. And the way that we make that connection, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to apply this alignment philosophy of sales to how we can sell the chamber without being salesy. And I'm going to teach you a 5-point framework. You have it on that sheet. They begin with these letters, S-E-R-V-E, serve. Number one, S, and it's an obvious one for you, but we got to lay the foundation. It is set one-to-ones. One-to-ones are where the magic happens in the relationship and in your business. In my business and many of my clients' business, there's a direct correlation between the number of one-to-ones that you do and the number of qualified prospects that come out on the other end. So you doing it benefits the chamber, it benefits that new member or guest, and ultimately it benefits you. Now, many of you, I have experienced one-to-ones. You guys are pros at it. So I'm curious from your perspective, what marks an effective one-to-one?
When you're fully engaged, your cell phone's turned off, you're not trying to multitask, with that person.
Yeah, you're in that moment, completely present. A pro tip, you guys do this, but we'll document it here. But a pro tip is to think 70-30. 70% the other person is talking to your 30%. And why would that be? I'm not going to get into the science behind it, but the more the other person talks, the more they like you and the more they trust you. I had this weird experience a few weeks ago. I was meeting with the owner of a landscape company and had no agendas going in. It was just a one-to-one meeting. And I was so curious about stuff that was going on that he talked about 90% of the time. I had about 5 minutes left, and he's looking at the clock. He goes, "Oh my gosh, I talked all this time. We didn't even talk about you." I said, "No, that's fine." I said, "Based on what I'm learning here," I said, "You got the sales nailed down. I don't see where I could add any value to you." And he goes, No. I want to talk to you for a reason. I said, "Look, if you're looking at hiring sales reps, I might be able to help you in that realm." He goes, "That's exactly what I'm needing help with." And so I said, "Great, I've got to take off now, but let's go ahead and put something on the calendar." And that just transitioned into a discovery meeting. And it was strictly because I just sat there listening to where he was. And they like you and they trust you. So speaking of trust, we go to point number 2, and that is earn trust. Think of a sales relationship or any type of relationship for that matter on what I call the trust continuum from 0 to 10. 0, I don't know you, I don't trust you, to a 10, which I call impeccable trust. These are the raving lunatic fans of you that will beg to buy whatever you're willing to sell them. Some of you have experienced those types of relationships, and they are absolute gold. Now, the idea of earning trust is to see that every interaction that you have with people has an impact that can nudge people along that trust continuum. You introduce yourself, you go from a 0 to 1. You send an email to say, hey, great to meet you, that nudges them from a 1 to 2. You set up a 1 to 1 that takes them from, say, a 2 to a 4. And then every interaction, it nudges them along. And that is a key of earning trust. Now, in specific ways, what are some ideas or things that you guys do that you have found works really well in earning people's trust, whether they're members, guests, or even as you work with each other as a team? Yes, sir.
Authentic self.
When you say your authentic self, what does that look like?
Like, I'm not trying to pretend to be Andrew, I'm just trying to be.
Yeah, be tough to do, right?
I'm too short.
One non-negotiable in earning trust, and it's obvious, but you would be shocked how often people, break this law. Do what you say you're going to do. So if you mention to somebody, hey, I need to connect you with so-and-so, follow through on it. And if there's any chance that you're not able to, then you communicate that as well. And a lot of times I will set an expectation of, hey, I think you really ought to connect with so-and-so. Let me reach out to them and see if they see a mutual interest. And if they do, would you be open to me connecting you guys? And that way, I'm setting that expectation of I'm not forcing that person into a meeting and they're not being forced in that meeting. But I can go, you know what, it's not right now, that's not gonna work out. I can be completely upfront with it, or yeah, they're completely stoked. I'm gonna send you guys an email connecting you guys and you can take it from there. So it's following through on what you're gonna say you're gonna do. So we talked about 2 points. Point number 1 was S, which is what? Exactly. Point number 2, E, is what?
Earn trust.
Earn trust. Point number 3 is R, relate benefits to goals. You guys have already started talking about this. Specifically, what I'm talking about is relate the chamber's benefits to the other person's goals. Now, in sales, you are a student and then become a master of the product that you sell. As an ambassador in sales, your product is the chamber. So it's being a student of all that the chamber has to offer as it may relate to those that you're interacting with to help them. Just as Tony was talking about, all these things that are out there, but how can I find what's best for me? You guys are able to help them find that solutions. You're like a solutions consultant. It's called the ambiguity effect in sales. People think, oh, I need to give them all the options. No, the more options that you give, the more complex it is. The more complex things are, they don't want to make decisions. It's like when my daughters were young and they would come to me and they would go, Dad, can I go out to such and such? My default answer would be no. My daughters learn, they go, Dad, can I go out to such and such? It's going to cost this much. I'll be back at such and such time. Now I'm in a situation of I can't lean on that ambiguity effect. I know what the cost is, the time and everything else, and wow, she learned that I was going to say yes. It's the same thing there. You simplify the offerings to make it palatable and easier for people to consume. I would add this one tip, and it comes from what we teach in sales, is be Socratic, not prescriptive. Meaning our default mode is we want to prescribe things for our customers. We want to say, oh my gosh, this event, you need to absolutely be there. This is what you need. And for some folks, they go, yeah, okay. For folks like me, I go, all right, you're putting a little pressure on me, right? So a way to deal with folks who might be like me is to be more Socratic and go, there's this event over here. Here's what goes on in this event. And this is what my understanding of your goals are. Do you think you might find value in attending it with me? And it's asking that question of, do you think you might find value in doing this? That allows me to have some agency without feeling pressured. Okay, so we talked about 3 things so far. Number 1, S is what? Exactly. Number 2 is E, what? Earn trust. Number 3, R is what? Exactly. Now, number 4, and it's hard to do with my fingers here out here, is V, and that is value everyone. Value guests, value members, new members, value each other as ambassadors. And the frame of mind that you have, because you guys do this innately, but to be intentional, the frame of mind that you have is, how can I add value to Mandy? How can I add value to Rick? And get real specific in your mind on how you do that. And I will give you an example. Before I became a member, I attended the coffee club at Bonefish Grill. I arrive, I'm standing there alone. There's this ambassador named Mandy Waters. Sees me, this dude in distress, completely alone, comes up to me, introduces herself, and we have this conversation. She makes me feel completely comfortable. And, we talked maybe 4 or 5 minutes. We talked about a whole gamut. You learned about me, I learned about you. We started talking about music and your sound background, all that stuff. And then what Mandy does, just innately, or she did it intuitively, whatever the case might be, she goes, Sean, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. And so Mandy would then take...
it was Andrew, because I wanted you to start a band up.
Yeah, but Andrew wasn't there. And so Mandy took me to about 3 or 4 different people. One of them was Ayrton in the back. So Ayrton and I met. And then through that relationship, Ayrton and I had a one-to-one. Out of that one-to-one, Ayrton was like, he found out about podcasts, newsletter, and everything else. He goes, oh my gosh, I want to introduce you to James Groves with Hole in the Wall. You guys really need to connect. And so I was like, oh, awesome, okay. So Ayrton introduces me to James Groves. And through that relationship, we met a number of times. And long story short, we now collaborate on some things. And all of it was set in motion because Mandy saw a dude in distress, all alone, standing at a coffee shop who was not even a member, right? So let's circle this back to value. This was the value to me, as at that time I was a non-member. Number 1, it really compelled me to become a member, which I did the following week. Not only that, this whole chain reaction paid for my membership in spades. So
different places that you wanted to spend your money too.
Exactly. So it set the difference of what this organization does, and that's because of the interactions of individuals like you all who made that happen. Okay, so we talked about 4 points. We're going to close out on our 5th, so let's review the 4. S? Good. E? Good. R? That's it. V? Very one. All right, the last one is E. It's the second E, and it is to engage consistently. So it's not just the meet, it's not just the one-to-one, it's the connect on LinkedIn. When they connect with you on LinkedIn, it's to DM them, say thank you so much for connecting with me on LinkedIn. It's looking out for their posts and commenting on their posts. When you start moving these in real life relationships onto stuff like LinkedIn, Facebook, but especially LinkedIn, is that every time that you comment on a post, it raises the visibility of their content, and it's a free way to raise their status to their audience. So you are, going back to point number 4, you are adding value. And it's all about being consistent and intentional. Think about all the potential touch points. You meet at an event. You send them an email. I remember that first one. Mandy sends me an email, tries to get me to go to a ribbon cutting the same day. I'm like, whoa, I can't get other organizations to even follow up with me. And here somebody is not only following up with me before I follow up. I mean, it's normally a game with me. It's like, I'll never have somebody follow up before me. And then,
Yes!
and then Mandy does it.
Victory!
And so you do that. You then connect on the LinkedIn. You just keep that chain going. And then not only do stuff on a mass level, but on a personal level. Hey, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving or Merry Christmas or happy holiday season, and just continue that relationship. All right, so we've covered the 5 points. Let's review them all, and we're going to bring this home. Point number 1, S.
Set one.
That's it. Point number 2, E. Earn trust. 3.
Relate benefits.
Good. 4.
Value effort.
Good. E. This last? Consistently. Awesome. This is the bottom line takeaway for today. If you commit to serve, SERVE, you will not only sell the chamber, you'll also sell yourself, your company, your business, and you'll do it in a way that's not salesy. You'll open up new opportunities. You'll attract new business in ways that you never imagined, in a manner that feels natural and not forced. So I am super excited about what 2025 has in store for you and for all of us in the chamber because of you and your work. So thank you very much for being willing to serve. Thank you.